Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with your boy here, Christian Road, aka the Road Dog, and the man himself on top of that ginormous mountain, living in the castle, Mr. Karl Bryan. Good day, sir.
How are you, big man? What's happening? What's happening, Road Dog?
Well, obviously there's a lot. So I'm just going to jump right into this, Karl, because obviously there's a lot happening right now. I've got a pile of questions here, and they're all really good questions. There's no question about that. But here we are. It's a Monday morning. It is things are happening really fast right now with this coronavirus. And I just wanted to just touch on that as quickly as possible with you, because I know there's a lot of people freaking out. There's a lot of craziness. And aside from all of us wishing that we had toilet paper stock, can you talk some sense into kind of your thoughts as to where we are and sort of, I guess, where maybe we should be going with all of this?
Yeah. So, well, look, coronavirus is in full swing, right? When you guys hear this, it might be delayed a small amount of time on the podcast, but no doubt this isn't something that's just going to magically disappear. So one thing I would say, go into life coaching mode. You got to accept it for what it is, but don't make it worse than it is. That's super important, right? To like freak out and, you know, but at the same time, it's a pretty serious thing, and to pretend like it's not, I think would be silly. You know, and some folks, of course, go to the conspiracy theories and all that sort of stuff, some of which may be true and some of it might not be true. I'm not going to go down that road today. But again, at the end of the day, if it's whatever it is, the bottom line, we got to stop the damn thing. And so the powers that be very, very careful to listen to the media, right? Again, remember, they're designed to sell advertising and to get your attention. They're not there to educate you. They're there to shock you. And that being said, during times like this, I think there's some very, well-spirited people that are trying their best to give you some good information. But listen to the World Health Organization, right? Like listen to the true professionals. Go to the source. Don't just go to CNN or Fox News or wherever else you're going and take the news from there, because I think that's a recipe for making it worse than it is, right? And, like a couple of, a period of time, self-quarantined, hanging out in your own office and house, you know what? Could be good for the soul if you really think about it. So anyways, don't make it worse than it is. But that being said, let me tell you, I'll go back to 2008, which sadly I remember vividly because it was a very tumultuous time. At that time, again, I was doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, not a year, but a month in coaching services. And for all intents and purposes, those sales came to an abrupt halt, and magically the expenses did not. So, I had to be Johnny on the spot, and I had to think on my feet. One of the things that I did do is I got, but basically I had a membership site. I was an early adopter with it. I was online, and not that I was able to replace in any way, shape, or form immediately, that is, my hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but I was able to do, very well, very quickly. I would just tell you this, that I would be marketing the largest companies of all time: General Electric, Disney, Ford, General Motors, IBM, I could go on, Microsoft, all started during recessions or depressions, right? It's not a coincidence, okay? There's a bunch of different reasons behind it, but I'll just tell you this. Over the next X amount of time, I'm going to say the next 2 months, you will have and be able to have more meaningful conversations with business owners than you've ever been able to have, right? And again, they are hunkered down, and people are still eating, people are still pooping, people are still trying, as we say, buy toilet paper, but you can't bloody get the stuff, which is just, you talk about stupidity, right? Like going and buying toilet paper for the next 6 months. Like it's just, come on, give me a break, right? But this is the kind of things that are people doing, but this is just be an example of irrational thought. But I would be ultra aggressive with my marketing. Make sure when you get folks on the story, on the phone, that you're delivering your story. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's your shtick? And a really good way, I always talk about, if you want to get somebody's attention, you need to stand against something. And this is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe wholeheartedly. In fact, and feel free to disagree with me, but you'd never convince me any other way. But it's a war on business out there, right? Like right now, there's this big push. Everybody wants to know if the stadium, like all these sports, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, et cetera, like all the professional sporting organizations are shut down. And everybody's obsessed with whether or not the part-time employees are going to get paid. I'm not sure why they're not talking about the full-time employees, but anyways, the part-time employees only, everybody wants to know if they're going to get covered. And my question is, look, and I hope they do, and I'm concerned about them also. What about the local businesses that are supplying said stadium? What about the local businesses that rely on the foot traffic to and fro for all these games? What about them? And what about their staff members? And what about, the rents that they need to pay, et cetera? Why is nobody talking about that? And again, and what drives, in Western society, what drives the economy? Small business. We're the one that drive the economy, and we're the one that employ everybody. So, but do you think you could get a break? Do you think everybody gives a rat's you-know-what? And the answer is no. But get somebody on the phone, and if you agree with what I said, if you don't agree, then don't go pitch it. But if you do, get somebody on the phone and say that. Guess what? Now you're standing against something. You always get more attention, again, standing against than standing for, right? Jumping up and down and clapping hands. You're much better off to disturb somebody. Well, get them on the phone, tell them your story, tell them what you're standing against. Like, this is the reason that I'm calling. And very simply, like, let's say that your coaching is $2,000 a month. Well, instead of all of a sudden, look, let me help you through this. Like, these guys are scared. These guys are disturbed. Believe me, you could sell more coaching. Like, I think I sent this out in an email today, and if it wasn't today, it'd be, very close to whenever you're reading this. But like, if it was me, I would be marketing aggressively, and I would get more clients for, let's presume I'm just the average coach out there making, $250,000 a year. I would get more clients in the next 3 months than I did in the last 3 years. And I tell you, because if I want to sell somebody something, I want to disturb them. I'm not looking, again, to jump up and down and clap hands. Make no mistake about it. That's not hyperbole. That's not me exaggerating. Well, obviously more in 3 months than 3 years. Okay, maybe not quite that, but I want to impress upon you here is that I would be stepping on the gas pedal, and I categorically guarantee that I would be getting coaching clients without exception. And by the way, some would buy immediately, some would buy in a couple weeks, and then some would buy in like 90 days after all the pandemonium. But I'm telling you, the relationships that I form now would set me up for the next, for the best 12 months of my coaching career, presuming, of course, that's what I was looking for. Someone else is listening and they're semi-retired. They just want to make $150,000 a year and not have a huge amount of chaos and work and da-da-da-da-da. They want to enjoy their lifestyle. Okay, cool. And again, I would market myself accordingly. Like, that would be a very different roadmap, but I would still be building these relationships right now. And if for nothing else, and you guys have all heard me, talk about this one where, like, there's an obligation. Just pick up the phone and give and help. The money will come. Right? Like, you don't have a coach, you don't have a getting clients problem. You have a refusal to help people before you get paid problem. Right? You guys have probably read that in my emails at some time or another, or on the podcast, what have you. Like, think about that. Pick up the phone and just help these guys through it. And again, they are going to be forever grateful, whether they pay you or not. And that doesn't mean you need to spend weeks with them or hours with them. A little bit of advice, like, for instance, don't make it worse than it is. And maybe, again, advising them not to read CNN, but to read, the real experts and follow them and hear what they're saying. And by the way, if you're wondering, what they are saying is that this is real, right? Like, you're not going to go there and all of a sudden go, oh, okay, I can just go to the, I can go to the local rock concert now. No, that's not what they're saying right now. They're saying we got to hunker down. And I want to finish this, Road Dog, with what's super important. Okay. And again, wrote about this in an email not long ago. but just research it and you'll find here's the real problem. The 20 to 60-year-olds that are saying, oh, this isn't going to kill me, are missing the point entirely. Here's the challenge. The healthcare system is about to burst at the seams. Okay, it is not ready for this. They do not have enough beds. They do not have enough rooms, not even bloody close. They do not have enough doctors. They don't have enough nurses. They don't have enough anything for what's about to happen. And I'll play out a scenario for you. Like, everybody goes, oh, it's a worse example of the flu. Well, yeah, okay, that's not correct, but it is, close. Here's the challenge. I'd say, for instance, I all of a sudden get sick, which can totally happen. Everybody catches a cold every once in a while. I get a little bit of a fever. Guess what I'm now thinking? Oh my gosh, what I need to know is, am I going to, I'm not worried because I'm a very healthy guy. Coronavirus isn't going to wipe me out. Or, hang on, I'm going to touch wood here. Road dog will kill my zero. I don't want this to be replayed at my funeral. But anyway, so I'm not worried about that, but I'm worried that, okay, holy smokes, I don't want to infect my family. So now I need to know, because normally I get the flu, I lie in bed, I get the man cold, and I whine like, all the other guys, right? They get man colds, although ladies know what I'm talking about here. And my wife brings me up chicken soup, and I watch TV for a day, and then I go to work the next day and go. Well, I can't do that now because my wife is going to be scared. I'm concerned that my wife is going to come up. She's concerned when she comes up. Like, I don't want to give her the coronavirus. So now we all bloody got it, right? So I'm going to go in and get tested. And then my wife, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, she's not feeling so well. And it's never, it's not unheard of me to catch a cold and my wife to catch a cold at roughly the same time or almost immediately afterwards. Now she's going in to get tested. Everybody's going in to get tested. And then, of course, there's the people with the brutal fevers, and there's the old folks with the brutal fevers that actually have this thing, because, again, a lot of folks are getting it. The healthcare system is about to burst at the bloody seams. And then you go down there, and they've only got so many tests. And you know what it's like when you're waiting in an emergency room, and you're not waiting for 30 minutes, but you're waiting for an hour and a half, and then that stretches out to 3 hours, and you're kicking the wall, and and then the machine runs out of Coke, and the machine runs out of lollies, etc. Like, it's just, everything's bursting. And then, by the way, there's 100, let's say, gas masks, and gas masks is, because your lungs are messed up when you get the coronavirus. Well, if there's only 100 of them, and then there's 250 people at the hospital at one time that need it, now they need to decide which 100 are going to get it. And then if my dad's in there and he's got it, and then they have to take the gas mask off my dad and take it to the guy, over there, like, how happy am I going to be? And now I'm going to start bitching at the people, at the nurses and the doctors, and saying, look, put a damn, put a mask on my father right now. Did I say gas mask? I think of an oxygen mask. But you get the idea. So, Road Dog, that's important. That's why you need to self-quarantine, just so this thing can pass. It cannot, the reason you're self-quarantining, the reason you're not going to rock concerts and to hockey games and that sort of stuff where these viruses are passed like crazy, is to stop this massive influx, so that the system can look after who they need to look after for a period of time, and we just need to slow the bad boy down. So that's my rant, man. But the bottom line is, I want to make no mistake about it. And by the way, if you're wondering, am I doing that? Like, again, on Thursday last week, we stepped up our marketing because I want to be able to help more folks, right? Like, coaches are scrambling. Guess what? They're going to be reaching out to the likes of myself to be able to, for some guidance, and what would you do, and how do I get into your inner circle, and how do I use the software, and how do I get a membership site? We provide all of that. So guess what? We've stepped up our marketing, right? To be clear, I'm not going to sit on my hands. This isn't a break. I use the angst and whatnot as fuel, right? It's heat. It's an accelerator for me. It's not going to be a handbrake, and not in a way that I just want to be able to help more folks. And by the way, This isn't like this has happened and it's not going to happen again. Unfortunately, the benchmark has been raised, like the 4-minute mile. And in the future, don't think that the NBA isn't going to shut down. It's not going to happen. It's going to come back, and it's not going to happen immediately. It's not next year. We certainly hope not. But the bar has been raised. Make no mistake about it. The world has just entered a new level of crazy. So get your coaching online. Get your membership site, get your lower end offers, your mid-tier offers, and then your high end offers sorted out and going. And that's what our community provides. So the bottom line, though, I just want to be able to help more coaches, right, Road Dog? Like, that's the whole idea here. So anyways, that's what I say, man. But I hope everybody just stays safe, be very responsible, look after your family first and foremost, and care about others. But do understand, if you're 20 to 60 and your attitude is that I'm not going to die from it, please, that's not what this is about. No, we know that the whole idea is to slow this bad boy down. And the way that we do that is to just be responsible with, our movements for a period of time. And don't let the media dictate it. Let the powers that be, like the World Health Organization, be listening to them. So there you go, Road Dog. That's my take on the coronavirus, brother.
I'm just really relieved, Karl.
What? What about what? What's coming?
That you got those extra alligators in around the moat around the place.
Yeah, that was a lucky break, man. That was a lucky break.
Just in time. It's as if you knew it was happening. It's like, okay, raise the drawbridge, throw in the alligators. Tammy, we're hunkering down. It's all done. So kudos to you. All right, but now let's get back to sort of business as usual, if you will, because again, just because this outbreak is happening doesn't mean that there's real world struggles not happening inside of coaching businesses. And here's a really, really fascinating question to me, and I cannot wait to get your perspective on this, because as you and I both know, as coaches come in, some people have tremendous success out of the gates, like super, super quick. But the question that I have for you is, because we've seen it, right? We've seen people come in, it's sort of like you and I, we do that one event and we kill it. We knock it out of the park. But then there's so many coaches that come into this profession and they just seem to struggle. So my question for you is, why is that? Like, why do some people come in and have such quick success and find these quick wins, and yet the majority just seem to struggle?
Okay. I got an interesting perspective on this one. First of all, I'm going to start with ignorance. The coaches that get cranking and they knock it out of the park, ignorance is bliss. Okay. Here's what I have seen with ridiculous consistency. A new coach gets going. He's got some pretty reasonable, he's coming from real estate or selling this or selling that, the pharmaceutical industry, whatever. He's got some sales skills, or she's got some sales skills, has some early success and knocks it out of the park, right? Well, they get one client, they get two clients, the first one's at $1,000 a month, and then the second one is at $1,500 a month, and they're like, holy smokes, this is like candy from a baby. The next one's at $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. Really knock it out of the park. You fast forward 90 days. Okay, let's assume that they got 5 clients, closed, cranking. At the 90-day mark with those 5 clients, guess what happens? Reality starts to set in, because remember, they're new to coaching. And reality starts to set in, and the questions start coming. The client starts moaning about, different, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it's going to be so much work. And just all the stuff that tends to come with coaching, especially, quite frankly, when you're not following a system, or you don't have a proper roadmap to follow. You're kind of like, each coaching call, it's like, hey, what are we going to do today? Right? Well, guess what? Now they lose confidence. So now they go to sign the 6th client, and they've got client number 1 trying to cancel. They got client number 2 unhappy for a variety of different reasons. Client number 3 is asking them a question that they're really not entirely sure how to solve. It's a staffing issue, it's a marketing issue, what have you, and they don't have an experience, and they're like, where the heck do I turn? How do I find somebody to help me? And then maybe the 4th is doing well, and then the 5th is doing whatever they're doing. Well, when they go to close the 6th one, guess what? It's self-sabotage on frigging steroids. And I have seen it so many times, like all of a sudden you're nervous after the 5th, like the 6th, it's like in the back of your mind, you feel like you're making promises that you're not going to be able to uphold. You're wondering, like I'm sitting here talking about all these things we're going to solve, but can I really solve them? And then what happens is you let the client, get out of jail free in terms of, that sales process. When they start putting up objections, you all of a sudden start agreeing with them, right? And you're not doubling down the way you did when ignorance was bliss, when you first signed up your first few folks. So the solution to all that, and then the other question is, why do people struggle out of the gates? And I think that's just a painfully obvious one. If you're not the challenge with coaching is that it's an intangible. Okay, you sell fresh air to a large degree. One of the things to combat that you must have, and we provide for our coaches, and you must have this, in my opinion. You're crazy not to. When I go to like Road Dog, I'm trying to close you a coaching, and again, let's say I'm $2,000 a month, I'm $24,000 a year coach. When I go to close you, and I go, okay, Road Dog, it's going to be $2,000 a month. I need to have what I call a closing flyer, but the bottom line, I need to have a list of deliverables that you're going to get as a result of us working together, right? Like you're going to get X, like you're going to get access to my membership site, 52 weeks, 52-week curriculum, over 100 hours of step-by-step instructional video, et cetera. You're going to get that. You're going to get a weekly call for the first 12 weeks. And then at week 13, we're going to go to bi-weekly because believe me, if we keep going every week, you're going to get a little bit overwhelmed. We don't want that to happen for you. We don't want that to happen for me. So that's what we're going to do. Every 3 months, every quarterly, we're going to do a quarterly review where we're going to review everything. We're going to talk about what's working. We're going to speed that up. We're going to work out what's not working. And then at that stage, we're going to decide if what's not working needs to be thrown out or if what's not working is something we're not doing right. And then we're going to put corrective measures in place and get that implemented. I've also got the road, let's say you use profit acceleration software. So it delivers a roadmap. You're going to follow step by step the roadmap, and the deliverable is, you know, it pumps out and it's got percentages and values and weighted algorithms littered throughout where you're going to be able to see. So when we implement X strategy, the numbers, like the money, given the revenues that you're currently doing and the profitability of your company right now, the expected result is going to be X, Y, Z. So we're going to follow through on that. You know, and then I'm going through, but basically just think of a PowerPoint slide or again, ideally a closing flyer. If you're sitting face to face, you pull it out. If you're doing this over the phone, you do a screen share, okay, and then you're popping it up on your computer. And then when it comes time to close, you got to go, you know, like here's everything you're going to get so that they understand in black and white terms, okay? So where I was going with that, you've got a coach who's not coming out of the gates, not getting coaching clients. They're 3 months into it going, where the hell are my clients? The reason is they're just not reaching out to business owners, which means you're dead. Then you just forget it. None of this stuff works. But you're doing that. You're getting in front of folks and you're not closing them. You're just not, you know, like your sales process, your ability to bring across the value proposition is tough. But understand, as I said a minute ago, the challenge is that coaching is fresh air. So why we created profit acceleration software and why I encourage everybody to think, if you're doing like time to think, go into your hole and go, okay, how do I make my coaching more tangible? Is a really good question for 45 minutes for you to basically, hone down and for 45 minutes just come up with your answer. Because when you're selling fresh air, it's tough to sell. And then coaching attracts folks that, you know, tend to be really fantastic people, but a little bit too kumbaya, I'm going to say, with respect, but that's just the way it tends to be. And if you're like that, a little bit woo-woo, you probably suck as a salesperson. Okay, well, you're selling fresh air, which is very difficult to sell, and you're not a talented salesperson. This can be a recipe for disaster. So you need to accept that and, create... You've got to find a way to make your coaching tangible. And again, that's why I created profit acceleration software, quite frankly, and the deliverable is a roadmap that the client follows. And then every individual item on the software basically has a value attributed to it where it's like, okay, if we get, do you want fries with that implemented? Like, let's say you're a lawyer, do you want a will with that? We create that. Here is how much it's going to be worth over the course of 12 months. And again, very importantly, here's an X factor. Most people go, you go into the burger joint down the road, and then they've been to McDonald's, but you go in and you're like a blind shopper just to see the process. And the 16-year-old girl at the counter doesn't, like, you order a burger and a Coke, and she doesn't say, do you want fries with that? So you speak to the owner the next day, you say, look, I did some blind shopping. I came in and got a burger from you. Your daughter or the 16-year-old didn't say this question, right? And he goes, I know, Carl, but we've been through this before. We've implemented it. And what I found, like on Tuesday, we made an extra $100 when we implemented, right? But The next day she didn't do it, or the next staff member didn't do it. So I got to recruit staff at a higher level, right? Because they're actually going to bloody do it. I got to train the staff, right, to make sure that they're always asking it. I got to continue to develop, to stay on top of it. I got to fire somebody. I got to reprimand somebody. It's a lot of bloody work. And I find that if that same time and effort is put into something else and just keeping my staff happy, the $100 could be, I can make the $100 in other areas. Well, the software takes 100 and multiplies it by 365. So now he understands that he's dealing with $36,500 and not $100. And that, what I'm giving you, I promise you, is a little bit of magic, because $36,500 is worth firing, reprimanding, rehiring, having to do some recruiting, etc. $100 isn't, but they don't think in turn. The business owner doesn't take 100 and multiply it by 365. They don't think like that. And that's like 95% of them, if not more. So that is an example of how you would make your coaching significantly more tangible. So, Road Dog, the way I'd answer that one, you got to you got to become the best coach, period. That's why I created my daily email called One Coaching Thing, where just simply put, for many years now, what I have done is on a daily basis, I try to learn one thing around business, marketing, or wealth. Just one thing. And often in my pursuit of finding one thing, I find 3, 5, 10, 20 in a day, who knows, depending upon how much reading I'm doing, or listening, or audios, or videos. But I always try to learn one thing. So I created One Coaching Thing to basically help coaches just learn one thing per day. That was the entire inspiration behind it. My way of saying, become the absolute best coach on the planet. That's how you really crush it. That's how you get the clients. That's how you keep the clients. That's how you get the referrals. Make no mistake about it. And it comes back to my Jim Carrey example, but in my opinion, you can't. He's Canadian, and I love the guy. But you watch him in Ace Ventura, in my opinion, you struggle to find a funny or stupid as, your IQ goes down after watching it. But I mean, it is so funny that I just, I get tear. I've watched it 100 times and I'm still pissing my pants laughing if I turn it on now. But then you watch that, or The Mask, or any other of this, nutty roles. Liar, Liar is another absolute bloody beauty that I love. But then you watch him in those, in those roles, and then you watch him on Man on the Moon. And I mean, it's just unbelievable, where he was Andy Kaufman, right? And he was in character for 3 months while they were filming. It's just, at the end of the day, he's the best, right? And you might like Tom Cruise, and you might like some other actor or whatever, but you'll struggle to find an actor that's better than Jim Carrey, right? Just dollar for dollar, skit for skit, line for line. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. But that's how he gets the roles, right? So that's how you get a business coaching client, by being the bloody best. And I believe in our industry, and a lot of these guys are buds of mine, where they're out there promoting. And again, a big inspiration between my One Coaching Thing. I believe that it's just so much about lead generation. Get clients. I'll help you market. Social media this, social media that, blah, 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 blah. And nobody's talking about becoming the best coach. That's Road Dog. We've talked about this. This is why this whole podcast was started. This is why my daily email was started. This is the positioning that we have. We try to have to date, but I guarantee I'm going to get there. But this is going to be our positioning in the business coaching industry to help coaches become the best of the best. That is how you crush it as a business coach, whether you have early success or you don't have early success. Concentrate on that and you will get there. So a little bit long-winded, my brother, but that's what I'd say. That self-sabotage that I talked about earlier, where you get the 5 clients and then the 6 becomes significantly harder. And you might get the first 10 and then it's number 11. You might get the first 3 and it's number 4 where you start to struggle. I think you'll find that self-sabotage factors in there. But the only way to become the best coach is to take on these clients, right? And to go in there full force and get these bloody deals done. You could always refund the money, right? Always feel comfortable with that. If you feel like you did a crappy job and you didn't fulfill, just refund them either that month, or the last 2 months, or the last, whatever it is. You could always give them back the money, but the training and the experience and the wisdom that you'll get through working with his clients if this is what you're designed to do and this is your career that you've chosen for the next, remember, don't choose this career for 3 months or 6 months. You choose this career for a decade. Like, this is it. Blow up the boats. You're doing nothing but this for a decade, and your attitude will change dramatically, towards what you're doing on a daily basis. So there you go, Road Dog. There's my answer, bud.
The highlight there is just become the best, right? And just have that be your primary focus. And as a coach once told me, and it's a bit of a mind bender, but the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
Yep. Okay. I like that. Well done,
right?
Folks. Write that one down. Get that tattooed on your forearm right there. Boom, Road Dog. Well done.
And again, obviously we are in interesting times when you're talking about the best of the best, and you didn't mention your UGG-wearing boyfriend, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, love him. The best,
Holy
baby.
smokes.
He's the best.
Obviously, there's a lot of things on your mind, and I know Tom's probably very disappointed right now.
I haven't mentioned him for a few weeks, man. You're the one. I think you might be the one. I think you got the man crush on him, bro. You're the one that keeps bringing him up lately. I've moved on.
You've moved on, just like that. Wow. Fickle. You're fickle.
Actually, no, I haven't. No, Tom Brady is a stud. I love him. I love what he represents, man. Greatest of all time. My opinion, feel free to argue it, but that boy is a stud. If we all live our lives like Tom Brady, we'll be doing good. I don't like the Patriots, by the way, but there you go. Let's move on, brother.
Let's move on. As a Broncos fan, let's move along. Okay. So here's a great, just a very interesting one as well, because I get this, I hear this, this next question a fair bit actually, and I call BS on it, right? So I just want to basically get your perspective. It's always interesting hearing it. So question is, I was speaking with a chiropractor, and he says he gets all the leads that he can possibly handle through referrals, and he just cannot take any more business. So you and I both know that he's got a bit of a broken model, right? So what's the best way to make him realize that he's got a limited business model? And how would you then help him scale it?
First, a good question, first of all. The more specific guys you can get with your questions, the better answer, quite frankly, I can give you. So specific questions are good. I know they're not always possible, but they're good. So I can answer this one. Chiropractor. First of all, he's taken on staff, okay, and he's had a headache. I can almost guarantee it. And the second thing, he sucks. He's a chiropractor, and the one thing they don't teach you at chiropractor school is how to grow your damn practice, of course. I know that's a huge surprise for everybody listening, but a little bit of a mistake, a little bit of an error in the curriculum there, I would dare say. So anyway, so that's the problem, right there. And guys, there's also a little saying that I have, but turning advertising, like how often do you meet a business owner and they pump their chest and they say, I've never advertised in my life. I get all of my clients through word of mouth and referrals, right? Like, just they're in my world, and I'm not, hey, I'm happy to be wrong and have your opinion, but you'll never convince me otherwise on a lot of stuff, and this would be one of them. Get a tattoo on your forearm, make a bumper sticker and put it on your car, tattoo it on your forehead, put a Post-it note inside your wallet when you open it up. This is what you look at. Advertising to profit equals superpower. Like, it is a superpower. Your clients, once they can learn how to turn advertising into profit, there is no limitation to their growth. Conversation over. Once they start to scale, we'll get into that in a second. Can be challenging with staff and whatnot, but these are always, if you're willing to pay properly and you're willing to train and develop your staff properly, well, there's three things to staff: recruit, train, develop. Yeah, that's it. You recruit the right person. You got to train them to get going, and then you got to take them seriously and have them take themselves seriously so they continue to develop over time. That's how you create a rock star of a staff member. Like, internally, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Road Dog, but we have got the staff. So Craig McLean has worked with me for 12 years on the trot. Never had a stern, we've had some disagreements or like, hey man, we got to get this done, blah, 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 hurry up. And he's had the same words for me back and forth because we have a respectful relationship in that manner. Been with me for 12 years, never a break, never, let's take 2 years off, 12 years, boom, right? My business partner and I, Adrian, total stud, total legend. We have been together for over a decade. Again, not even had literally, of course, we've had some disagreements and that sort of stuff, but like nothing that would resemble anything of a, just a, screaming never ever happened, but like raised voice just like doesn't happen. Alan, he's worked with us for, I don't know, I'm going to guess 8 years. I don't have it, but like 8 years. Chris has been with us for 6 years. We got lots of, and so what I'm talking about, I understand, and I'm not in any way trying to pat my back, pat myself on the back or pump out my chest. I'm telling you, I understand those 3 words. I learned them the hard way. We mentioned 2008 earlier. Some of those lessons were learned then, but again, these 3 words: recruitment, training, development, something you got to take seriously. So let's come back to our question here. Chiropractor here. Number 1 is they've taken on staff and had a bad experience. Number 2, they suck at marketing because, again, they're a chiropractor. Here's the solution for both of them. Number 1, they've taken on staff. Here's the life cycle. In fact, we've talked about this at different times, I believe, over the podcast, probably a long time ago. But here's the life cycle of a chiropractor, and I could fill in a bunch of different niches right here. They get going. Let's say the guy's 35. He goes on his own. He starts his own practice. At the age of 40, he has a few years, some good, bad, probably thought about closing the joint down at different times, blah, 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 but he sticks with it, which is a good thing. At 40, he's got himself a pretty decent practice that's cranking. He hits 45, now he's got a practice that's cranking. He's worked it out. He knows what he's doing. He's got very loyal, base. He's got tons of referrals from the doctors. At 45, he's crushing it. He's moving towards 50, and he starts thinking to himself, man, I'm working too hard. He's managed to pay off his house. He's got some dough, whatever. The kids are growing up. He's missed a lot of that. And he's thinking to himself, I don't want to work this hard, right? So he's approaching 50, and he takes, he's golfing. He decides he wants to start golfing 2 days a week. So now he takes his practice, and he goes back to 3 days. And then at the age of 55, he was 50, so now he's 55, and he wants to sell the practice, right? Well, he's selling a practice at 55 that's operating 3 days a week. What do you think he's going to get for it? And the answer is not a hell of a lot, significantly less than what he would have got if he would have sold it when he was 45 and really cranking and doing the long days, etc. So here's the solution. What did I say? He's 35 and gets going. At the age of 40, what he's looking for is himself 5 years ago. A guy, out of school, been working for a guy for X amount of time, a good chiropractor, somebody who takes the industry, like the kind of guy who's going, when there's like a development seminar and that sort of stuff in San Diego for chiropractors, a guy who goes to that is the kind of guy that I want as a business partner. Anyway, so I bring him in to work for me, right? I pay him properly. If you want good staff, you pay them properly. And then what I do is once we hit a certain milestone, I say, man, look, I really like you. You're, obviously a high-level achiever. When he hits 40, so he's been with you for roughly 4 years, once he hits X, let's say once he's billed out $500,000 or he's billed out whatever the milestone is, you work it out for the individual chiropractor, he earns no cash, doesn't need to do the cash down, which you could definitely do that also, but he earns, at a milestone, he earns into your company. Now, he's 40 years old and he's a business owner. Okay, he owns 10% of your company. You own 90. Any decisions made are still 100% with you, right? Of course, you'd be disrespectful to not, bring him in on the conversation, but you still own 100% of your company. And then you bring in another guy, do the same thing, make him a 10%, and then they move up, and now they can get 20 by hitting different milestones. And now you got 2 guys jockeying. So you hit 50 and you step back, and now they're running the practice. And I always say, so there's 4 things that motivate staff: rank, recognition, prizes, money. And they're in order. Money is the 4th by design, not by accident. Rank, recognition, prizes, and money. You just took 2 chiropractors and turned them into entrepreneurs, turned them into business owners. They now got the business card, that they can, that they're an owner. This is impressive with their buds. This is impressive for their family, impressive for his kids. And he's making more money as well because you're doing a dividend at the end of the year of X, right? Well, now at the age of, when you sell a business, you'll sell it to one of 2 people: your number 1 customer, your top staff member. Those are the first two people you always go to. Well, guess what's going to happen? One of them owns 20, one of them owns 10, or they both own 20. So you own 60, they own 40. And now you just go to them and say, hey guys, I want to step away. But you've got this thriving practice that's crushing it. And now you're going to sell it. And probably what you're going to do is sell it to the guy who's right there, who's established all these relationships, and you're going to get top dollar for it. And you can do vendor finance type stuff, which basically means he doesn't need to go to the bank to get all the cash, which would be nice in some cases. But remember, you've been doing well with this business over X amount of time. You get significantly more for it if you're willing to drag it out and do something like a vendor finance, which you may or may not want to do, but now you're selling it. You get it, Road Dog? Now all of a sudden you're selling a business that's absolutely crushing it, as opposed to one that where you're golfing 2-3 days a week and you're stuffing around, right? So, and then if you just put builder instead of chiropractor in there, I just gave you the life cycle. Like what a builder does is they're working on their own. They get a side guy. They get a couple more projects. He gets a crew of 4. Okay. And then he goes, wow, I'm really crushing it. He gets another crew of 4. So now he's got 8 guys and himself. He gets another crew of 4. Now he's got 12 guys as himself. He takes a bath on a deal or two, loses a whole ton of dough, says screw, and by the way, has some challenges because the building space, you end up hiring, guys that can be a little bit flighty and like to drink beer a little bit too much or whatever activities that they like. So you're in and out. So the recruitment, training, and development is significantly harder than in, something like a chiropractor. It's going to be a lot easier for sure. And basically they come back to one crew almost every time over a 10-year period. It happens with ridiculous predictability. And why? What I just described at the chiropractor, do the exact same model. And again, those 3 words, recruitment, training, and development. They don't understand those. And then once you've got the staff member, rank, recognition, prizes, money. Those 7 words can really save your clients. Because if you sit down with a business owner and you say, what are your 3 biggest challenges? Which, by the way, if you're not asking that question, you're missing, that's not a good idea. Like when I sit with a business owner and I want to sell them coaching, one of the first questions out of my mouth, like in the first 5 to 10 minutes, depending upon how much rapport building goes on, one of the first questions I ask, you are going to find that they're going to say sales, marketing, staff, and and systems, those 4. Right? Sales, marketing, staff, systems, they won't use those 4 words necessarily. Often they will, but they'll say one of those 4. Well, kaboom, I just gave you a big time solution for the staffing issue. And this is when you have a successful company, they normally have a staffing issue. Like again, said this a lot, but if you show me a company that's doing 25 mil, 50 mil, they own an HR company, right? That's their job, is to recruit high-end folks. Like we just went through this internally. I hired a full-time software engineer. Like it was frankly, there's, some serious money involved, and not to mention serious, it's a bunch of things involved. It was a challenging process. I'm reasonably, I don't know how experienced I am in comparison to others, but I'm definitely had some experience. I can tell you that it was a hell of a process to go through. Let's put it that way. So those 7 words, very powerful. So, okay, now Road Dog, got to keep going here. So the other solution, in fact, I probably should have done this one first, but that's okay. You get that one. Now the other problem that the chiropractor has is he sucks at marketing. Okay, one of the reasons he sucks at, well, there's a bunch of reasons why. He never studied it, doesn't understand it, hasn't read a book on marketing, hasn't watched an audio on marketing, hasn't watched a video on marketing, hasn't hired a marketing person, and hasn't hired you, the business coach, to come in and help them with the way to develop a marketing system. But I'll give you an example of a chiropractor, which is a beauty, that a chiropractor sees a massage therapist on average as an annoyance, as a headache, right? Well, let me tell you unequivocally that, and this isn't black and white statement, by the way, that there's some variables, but not that many, to the point where I'd say that I'm right on what I'm about to say. The opportunity for the chiropractor is to basically get a massage therapist in, okay? And I just want you to picture yourself, close your eyes for a minute. You're going to go to the old school newspaper, or you're going to be surfing online, and you're going to be on Facebook, and somebody's going to put a post up, challenging times right now, free massage. Come book it, kaboom, right? what do you think the conversions would be? Not bad, right? Well, guess what? You've got X amount of doors. Say they've got 5 doors at the chiropractic clinic. 1 is for massage, the 4 are for chiropractors. The massage therapist, and picture, but I'd crush this with a husband-wife team, but picture like the wife there doing massage, and then her job is to go, oh, do you feel that? Oh, do you feel that? Oh, do you feel that? And she's got you there for an hour where she can explain what's necessary, what chiropractic really is, which very few people understand, and how they should be getting their butt upstairs to go see your husband. If you've ever seen, say somebody at the age of 60 walking, okay, and you see that they're very unnimble and looking a little bit stiff, if you don't want that to happen. And by the way, this becomes an anti-aging conversation. I don't know if you know how sexy that is out there, but it is absolutely monstrous, because anti-aging just isn't about wrinkles around your eyes, right? Anti-aging is also about having a good life. Like when you're flexible and you're going to yoga and you're able to move around the room and get up in and out of a chair easily and get up and down with the grandkids, up and down with your kids for that matter, this is a better life, right? Well, the chiropractor with 100% certainty is a solution to that. But if you're listening right now, when's the last time you went to a chiropractor outside of an injury? And the answer is next to never. Well, let me tell you, a lot of those guys that you see at the age of 60, and I actually use my one of my best friends, his dad mentors me a little bit, and I don't know if he's a billionaire, but if he's not, he's damn close. And look, this guy runs around like, how old is he? So roughly 70. He'd be old. Actually, no, he'd be older than that. But bottom line, he moves around like somebody 25 years younger. Guess what? But he's also got oodles of money, so his options are a little bit better than the average person, because that's what a lot of people are thinking, and you'd be right. But he goes to see a chiropractor, and he's nimble as hell, right? Anyways, what am I getting at? A free massage, remember, advertising the profit is a superpower. That is how a chiropractor, if you advertise chiropractic, if you haven't been in a car accident lately, I'm going to touch some more wood here, road dog. This would be a bad call for me, dude. Could be a bad week. But anyway, so if you haven't been in a car accident, you're not responding to that ad, because you don't see chiropractic as a solution, because again, they suck at marketing. They're doctors. And then they're not even really doctors. So there's this weird space that they kind of occupy. When a chiropractor calls himself doctor, some folks just accept it and say, yeah, cool. But then others go, you're not really a doctor, bro, right? That's what they say in their head, which right, wrong, and different really doesn't matter. But that's what people say. So chiropractors have a hell of a time, but they provide an unbelievable solution. So that's an example of how a chiropractor can market really well. Again, an upfront offer. Again, get this tattooed on the forearm. Change your offer. Change your life. If you get an offer that crushes it, this is why with our business coaches, we can go out there and say, we can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. And then we have proprietary software to back it all up and provide a roadmap. Imagine if you're a business owner and you hear that. Like I could say that to Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Richard Branson. I don't care. Any of them would go, because curiosity is the ultimate tool for sales. So anybody hears that, and if you've never heard it, you're listening to it. Did I just make you curious? And if I didn't, I'd be amazed, right? Well, that's what you can do. So that's an example of a killer upfront offer. You got to be able to fulfill, of course, and we train all of our coaches on that immediately. But the bottom line is that would be an example. So Road Dog, those two things, man. The scaling aspect of it, very, very challenging for them. There's a solution. There are others. This isn't black and white. This is gray on steroids. But I just gave you a model that very few follow. Most people think taking on a business owner is some kind of a taboo subject and something that won't touch, and that would be a dramatic error. You own 9. If Road Dog, I own 10, or you own 10% and I own 90, or you own 90 and I own 10. The person that owns 90 makes all the decisions. But think about the excitement of the rest of that conversation, where you just created the person that's going to spend $1 million with you in the future, right? And the chiropractor doesn't know that coming in. He doesn't know when you offer him 10% of the business, what you're really doing is you're not choosing somebody to buy 10% of the business. You're choosing the guy who's going to buy this, who's going to be successful, who's going to crush it, who's going to spend, and again, I'm throwing an arbitrary number out there, $1 million with you in the future. And it's going to be this isn't you. Your undertaking here is that's going to be the smartest decision that young man or that young woman ever made. That's your job, right? But if you understand business, there's no reason why that wouldn't be the case. And that's how you can solve all of that. So I hope that helps, Road Dog. Do you like?
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. So just to kind of close it out, do you have any parting words for us?
Any parting words? Yeah, we only got through 3 questions, man. But but any parting words are that I should give shorter answers in the future, possibly. Yes, my parting words are what I said earlier. Self-sabotage. It happens all the time. Again, what happens when somebody wins the lottery, right? Guess what? They end up with a drug problem, an alcohol problem. Those around them often end up with drug and alcohol problems, and then they end up with a significantly worse spot than they were before they won the lottery. Why? Self-sabotage. They didn't feel like they earned it. The solution, the antidote to self-sabotage is, frankly, like my daily emails. Just your job is to become, I'm going to just say the Jim, and you might hate Jim Carrey, then just fill in the blank, Nicole Kidman, whoever, but to become the Jim Carrey of coaching. And no, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. That's not what's going to happen. This is a journey. And frankly, it's a 10-year journey. And some of you want to throw it up in your mouth as I say that, but unfortunately, the next 10 years are going to pass anyways. And the magic of business coaching is that this is an industry that as you get older, you get more experienced, it becomes easier, you become worth more. And it's not like being a realtor or these other industries where at a certain date, like the age of 65, you suddenly, if you can't get up and down the stairs very well, you're not going to be able to sell many houses. Like real estate is no longer in your future and they're going to show you the door. You don't want to have to retool at the age of 65. As a business coach, that would never happen. The older you get, the more wrinkles you got, the more gray hair you got, the less hair you got, whatever it is, you become more valuable. You become more wise. This all becomes easier, right? So self-sabotage is something, it's very, like the coronavirus, it's very real. It is within you, unless you're the 5% and not the 95%, and high 5, by the way, if you're the 5. But most of you won't fit that bracket. You got to be really, really careful with the self-sabotage thing. And the solution to it is to bloody train yourself at the absolute highest level. That's another reason, Road Dog, as you know, with our community, we got 800 coaches around the world. Like, I'm not trying to pretend like I'm the smartest guy in the room. Every day I learn from our coaches, like every single day. So like, you're learning from them. They're learning from you. I'm learning from all of you. Hopefully you guys are learning from us. I'm learning from Road Dog. Road Dog's learning from me. Road Dog's then taking it and passing on to, part of the community. We got a Facebook group, et cetera. That's part of, and I'm not in any way trying to, look, it just is what it is. It's a community to help. I think you should become part of the community that is there. Not too many communities where you're not all of a sudden generating leads and looking for business owners. And signing more coaching clients. That's, again, another mistake that coaches make, too much farting around with their own niche. You got to go talk to business owners. But the community of coaches in a roundabout way is designed to help folks in that self-sabotage that I know is so prevalent in not just our world, but so many others. So let's not let it happen, Road Dog. There's my parting words, brother.
Awesome, dude.
Quarter, you hear that alarm? Hang on, I want everybody to listen to this. You hear that, Road? You didn't hear that?
And a Q1 for you, or whatever, the first quarter?
That is, man. That's quarter cuts, Q2. Boom. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up then. All right. Well, again, awesome as per usual, my friend. Awesome as per usual. And again, thanks for tuning in to another amazing episode of Business Coaching Secrets with my boy, King Karl. Again, if you want more information on how to build your coaching company, go to focused.com. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with anybody that's an existing coach or someone that you think would make a fantastic coach. And of course, we'd appreciate that you'd rate this episode as well. As you know, iTunes and Stitcher and whatever all these services are, everything is way towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard, and go out and kick some butt. And remember, progress equals happiness, everybody. Take care.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.